All right, Class 10, Social Studies Board exam is just around the corner, isn't it? Well, you've come to exactly the right place. We are about to blast through the entire social movements chapter in record time. Feeling that pre-exam pressure? Yeah, I know it's real. But don't worry. In the next few minutes, we're going to lock in every single key fact, name, and concept you need to absolutely ace this section. You ready? Let's do this. Okay, first things first. Let's get our key terms on lock. Honestly, if you can nail these definitions, you're already halfway to a great answer. Think of these as the secret code for writing high-scoring responses. Kicking things off with a big one, civil disobedience. You absolutely 100% have to know this. It's not just, any old protest. It's way more specific. It's about peacefully and on purpose breaking a law that you believe is fundamentally unjust. This was the absolute cornerstone of the American civil rights movement, so you can bet you'll see this term pop up. So what were they fighting against with all that civil disobedience? This is the answer: segregation. This was the actual system of laws in the United States that separated people by race. We're talking separate schools, separate sections on buses, separate everything. It was discrimination written right into the law, and it was the central problem the whole movement was trying to solve. All right, now that we've got the terms down, let's dive into some of the actual stories. We're going to look at some major case studies and see how real people organized and fought for their rights in completely different situations around the world. Now, check this out, because this is a really important comparison for your exam. On one hand, you've got the USA. The fight there was about making a democracy actually live up to its own ideals of equality for everyone. But then you look at the Soviet Union, the USSR, and it's a totally different ballgame. There, people were fighting for the most basic freedoms, like freedom of speech, that the authoritarian government simply denied them. Two superpowers, two very different fights. And wow, if you want a picture of what that American struggle looked like, here it is. This is Elizabeth Exford in 1957. She was one of the first 9 African-American students to ever try and attend a previously all-white high school. And just look at the anger in the crowd behind her. This image just hits you, right? It shows the incredible, raw courage it took to challenge segregation face to face. So, how did they fight back? Okay, get your exam brain ready, because these are the key words you want to use. The movement was overwhelmingly nonviolent. That's a huge point. Their main tools were things like mass marches, boycotting businesses that discriminated, and, yep, there it is again, civil disobedience. They peacefully broke those unfair laws to show the whole world just how wrong they were. Meanwhile, in the USSR, the fight was, like we said, completely different. You had intellectuals and writers, and the big name to remember here is Alexander Solzhenitsyn. They weren't fighting for equal access to a school. They were fighting for the very existence of basic rights. They demanded an end to total government control, the freedom to speak, to write, and to think without being thrown in prison. Now, that nuclear arms race sparked a whole global movement. For your exam, you got to remember this timeline, and here's a simple memory trick. You have to add SALT before you can start reducing something, right? Well, the SALT talks in the 70s, they kind of failed. But the START Treaty in 1991 was a huge success. And here is the killer fact for your answer. START eventually eliminated about 80% of all those strategic nuclear weapons. That's a massive number. Okay, let's switch gears completely. We've talked human rights, now let's talk about the environment. And you're going to see a common theme here, a big conflict between massive development projects and protecting local environments and the communities that live there. A perfect Indian case study is the Narmada Bachao Andolan. Just look at this map. This wasn't a fight about one little dam. No way. This was about a massive series of dams planned all along the entire Narmada River. The sheer scale of it was just enormous. And what was the human cost of all this? Well, we're talking about thousands upon thousands of people, mostly from tribal communities, who were going to be displaced from their ancestral lands. So you see, this movement was never just about saving trees. It was a fight for justice for people who were being uprooted with little or no proper plan for what would happen to them. And this quote from the movement's leader, Mehta Podkar, just sums it up perfectly. The goal wasn't just to stop the dams, it was to ask a much bigger question. Is it really progress if it benefits cities at the cost of the poor and the environment? They were demanding a totally different model of development. Here's another key environmental victory in India, this Silent Valley movement in Kerala. In this case, they actually succeeded in stopping a hydroelectric project. Their goal was to save a rare rainforest, and its most famous symbol became this animal, the lion-tailed macaque, whose entire home was under threat. The movement didn't just save a species, it saved an entire ecosystem. Now let's look at two more powerful grassroots movements in India. And what's so incredible about these next two is that they were started and led by ordinary citizens, especially by women, which makes them even more inspiring. So check out the story of the anti-Iraq movement in Andhra Pradesh. Iraq is a cheap, strong liquor, and it was just devastating rural families. And get this, it all started in a literacy class where women read about its harmful effects. That knowledge empowered them. They started small, just forcing local liquor shops to close. But that small action snowballed into a massive statewide movement that eventually forced the government to impose a total ban. A stunning example of women-led grassroots power. And then in Manipur, you have the Mera Paibi, which literally means torchbearers. This is this unique and powerful movement of women, the mothers of Manipur, who patrol the streets at night holding flaming torches. Just picture that. They've become a citizen-led force against injustice and human rights abuses in their communities. Their main target for protest? It's AFSPA, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act of 1958. This law grants sweeping, some would say extreme, powers to the armed forces, and the Mera Pabais have been on the front lines demanding accountability and justice for decades. Okay, listen up. Remember the name and the year. AFSPA 1958. It's a key point for your exam. All right, deep breath. We're on the home stretch. This is it, the final rapid-fire round with the top 10 takeaways you absolutely have to remember for your exam. Let's go. Number 1. Mera Paibi means torchbearers. Number 2. AFSPA is the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, 1958. Number 3. The Silent Valley Movement saved the lion-tailed macaque. Number 4. Narmada Bachao Andolan was led by Medha Patkar. And number 5. The international group Greenpeace was founded in 1971. And we're not done. Number 6, the anti-Iraq movement was led by rural women in Andhra Pradesh. 7, the key method of the U.S. civil rights movement was civil disobedience. 8, a key figure in the USSR human rights movement was Alexander Solzhenitsyn. 9, the START Treaty led to that massive 80% reduction in nuclear weapons. And finally, number 10, the Bhopal gas tragedy involved the Union Carbide factory. Got all that? And that is a wrap. We just covered the entire chapter. Take a deep breath. You've totally got this. As a final thought, just chew on this question. Which of these movements do you think really changed the world the most? And why? Thinking about the why will help you frame some brilliant answers tomorrow. All the very best for your exam.